love technology. Oh, there we go. We're recording. Okay, so first of all, I would just like to welcome you all to the second of the Pony Club Youth Advisory Council's career webinars. Tonight's theme is the horse racing world, so in the racing industry. And this is being recorded, so anyone who's watching now, you can come back to it, and anyone that's missed it from tonight, you will be able to catch up on the recording later on. I'm going to hand over to our Youth Advisory sub-team to introduce themselves and a little bit about our presentation evening. So I'll pass over to Tatiana first.
Hi, I'm Tatiana. I just want to say a huge thank you to all the members for coming today. And like Amy says, this is available for recording after live if there's any technological problems. Hopefully there won't be. And a huge thank you to Bronte and Addy, because there's been so much help behind the scenes in getting the technology sorted so we've been able to put these on for everyone. So yeah, we couldn't have done this without them.
Ethan, if you're ready to introduce you a little bit.
Is that working now? So I'm Ethan. I've been in Pony Club for many years now, since I was like a kid. But I joined the Youth Advisory Council just so I could learn a bit more about what goes on behind the scenes.
Oh, we could hear Ethan. Oh, he's back.
I'm having technical difficulties.
It's all right. We'll come back to Ethan. He's coming back later when we have Abby and Georgina talking. So it was just to say a little bit about what these webinars are for. They're designed to have a resource available for our members to look at careers in the future that are to do with the equine industry and how Pony Club and growing up around horses could massively help with that. So the first one was London themed, the second one is racing themed, and then we have an events organising one later on in the year, as well as a more generalised equine careers that people tend to think about. If Evie is there and her sound is working, Evie's going to introduce our guest speakers for tonight, and then we're going to get going with our first guest of the evening.
Yeah, my name's Evie. So firstly, we'll have Sophie Chambers, who is the MD of Gala Insurance. I'm sorry if that's pronounced wrong, which is a Bloodstock equine insurance company. Then we'll have Jackie Jill, who's an instructor at the British Racing School, who's also accompanied by ex-student Lily May. And then we have Abby, joined by graduate Georgina from the National Stud to talk to us. Thank you.
Perfect. So in a moment, I'm going to hand over to Charlotte, who is going to be working with Sophie to provide you with a little bit more insight on Sophie's job. Just for members, if you do have any questions that are pop up that you would like to ask throughout the evening, if you type into the chat box and add a question mark, it will pop up in our questions box, and then Charlotte and our other members will be able to direct those to our guest speakers. And additionally, when the speakers start talking, there will be a shared file, which is our PDF document. So if you want to download and type out some notes, all of your notes from this evening are in the same place, then you can download our racing PDF document. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Charlotte and Sophie.
Okay, so I'm hoping my sound's working. I'm Charlotte. I've been a Pony Club member for goodness knows how many years. And we have Sophie Chambers joining us. Very grateful.
Delighted to
so,
be here.
Yeah, it's great that you've come and you've joined us and you're willing to talk about what you do in your specific role and how you sort of got to that point. So, Sophie,
Do you want me to just give a little introduction?
Yeah,
Okay.
give a little introduction about sort of what your job title is and then sort of like a description of your job role as such.
So, hi everybody, I'm Sophie. I was obviously in the Pony Club myself from an extraordinarily young age and decided that academia wasn't for me. I didn't go to university. I tried chancing my arm at making a living buying and selling eventers when I was about 18 and soon worked out that riding 10 horses a day wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I just did a secretarial course and slightly fell into insurance, horse insurance in a little agency in London, and discovered that actually insurance is an incredibly logical world. It's just a contract that says, are you insured for something or are you not? And I made it my career for the last 40 years. And on top of which, I'm also DC of our local pony club at Eridge. So I managed to go all the way back round full circle and back into the pony club. Both my children were members of the pony club. And actually my eldest daughter did the national stud course that Abby's going to talk to you about later. So yeah, I feel like I'm in exactly the right place to explain what I do. So I'm managing director of an insurance broking company called Gallagher, which is actually the world's third largest broker, and it insures literally anything, but my specialism is equine and thoroughbreds. And I work in the city and I managed to combine horses with a full-time city career. So it's been a wonderful journey. Do you want to ask me some more, or would you like me to talk about?
No, it's fine. I've got a list of a few questions. So obviously you didn't you said you didn't go to university or anything, and did you do any A levels that was specific to sort of going into that direction, or were they just random A levels and exams and stuff that?
Yeah, back in the day, we just had some very standard A levels. They weren't nearly as exotic as they are now. So no, I just did A levels, but my headmistress was very kind, and I only took 2, and she made sure that I had Fridays off to go and ride. So so that's what I did. And as I said, I just, academia wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy being at school and learning. However, I've really loved learning about the thoroughbred industry. I think, one of my when I mentor people, which I do a little bit, one of my big top tips is find a job that you really enjoy doing, because then you will be successful at it. So if you love being around horses, the racing industry employs 85,000 people. So there are plenty of opportunities, and the insurance industry employs probably nearly as many. So yeah, insurance became my thing, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's great, because so many people, I find that with horses, they struggle with the academic side and they want something that they can fall in love with, but without struggling through it. So from that, what's one of the most enjoyable parts of your job role that you think, oh, this is the best thing and this keeps you in that job role?
So there are a few. Going racing, absolutely fantastic. Being lucky enough to be in the paddock, to be up close, know the trainers, know the owners, actually meet the horses individually in the yards, and then see them on the race course. And I've been fortunate. I've travelled all over the world with my job. So racing is a global industry, and you can work anywhere. So New Zealand, Australia, America, France, Ireland, the UK. I've never been to Japan or the Middle East, funnily enough. Those are the 2 still left on my bucket list. But you meet some really fascinating people. Obviously to own a racehorse, you have to be fairly wealthy. So I meet leaders of business. One of my clients is the UK's richest woman. I mean, she was richer than the Queen even when the Queen was alive. So when I sit down for 2 hours and chat to her about her horses, and it doesn't ever seem like work.
that I think is definitely a big thing, is that you've got a job that it doesn't seem like a job because you enjoy it so much. So did you ever have any doubts that this was the correct career for you to go into when you sort of found this role? Did you go, oh, I'm not sure about this at any point? And if
No, I just really enjoyed it from the first moment, from back in the day when I actually did know how to take shorthand, and it just fascinated me. I hadn't really grown up with racing. We'd go, I grew up near Newbury Racecourse, so we'd go racing as kids. So I knew a little bit about it, but really not a lot. Eventing was my life. And it was very easy to transition into the racing industry. And the racing industry is one big family. You soon get to know people. And I genuinely never look back. And I honestly have an accidental career. I didn't leave school thinking that I was going to become a managing director of anything. So, yeah, it just shows you find the right job and you can make it successful for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you say you did your secretarial course, and so what are sort of the most important skills you say you'd need for this type of job, or a job in this sort of area?
I think people skills are enormously important. You have to be able to talk to people and talk to all sorts of people. Racing's full of the most extraordinary individuals that have grown up all over the world from different walks of life. I think you have to be very diligent. You can make errors very easily. It doesn't matter if you're not very numerate, because I always use a calculator. Don't ask me to calculate a premium for you in my head. Some people can do it, not in my skill set. And you have to be a good negotiator, because I'm often trying to insure really complex risks, and the underwriters don't necessarily want to insure them, and I have to persuade them that it's a good risk to write. So those are the top skills. But I think attention to detail and accuracy are really vital. Time management, all of those kind of things come into it, but people skills is important.
Yeah, I think a lot of jobs in the equine industry do require those people skills, and I think a lot of people struggle with their confidence to be able to go and talk to everyone. And you, as you say, you've gone and spoken to millions of different people, and people that you never thought you would go and speak to. So,
but we have the common language. The horse is the common language, which allows you to speak to anybody, because you have a shared passion, and it doesn't matter how successful these people are. When they start talking about the horses that they love, they're just normal people. They're just like you and I. So that's how you get around the confidence, because you love the horse, basically.
Yeah. So another question I've got down. So how do you find the job on sort of a day-to-day basis? And you said obviously you get to go and travel a lot, but on a day-to-day basis, is it fairly similar stuff every day, or do you get a bit of?
I think
every change.
Every day is a different day, and every day is a school day. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years, and there'll be different scenarios that happen that have never happened before. Horses will find a million different ways of trying to kill themselves. Everyone knows that. And, my job is to try and provide our clients with protection should that happen. Sadly, when you get to a position like managing director, you have quite a lot of management responsibilities, so they take up an enormous amount of time. I spend most of my life on emails and telephones and Zoom meetings, and when I'm in the city, which is a couple of days a week, I'll have coffees to catch up with clients or underwriters. So it's always very different, but sometimes I wish that I could just spend 5 days a week in the car going to see clients. That would be much more fun.
Yeah, I definitely think traveling around to see people would be a much more than sitting in an office. But every day you get your benefits with it. Exactly. So the fact you've traveled the world for and it was a job that you fell into, and you didn't go looking for it, because I would never have thought of a job like this. But it's so nice that you've sort of just fallen into it, and there was no pressure in going, oh, you've got to get all of these exams done. So it's really nice. It's a lovely way that you've gone into this role. So what's one thing that you're looking forward to in 2025? Is there anything big and exciting lined up for you and the company, or?
Well, for me personally, I actually turn 60 next week, so I'm having a huge year of doing all really great things that I can enjoy. But just around the corner, we've got Cheltenham, and I have a project with the Jockey Club where we bring young kids from disadvantaged and inner city areas to the race course, and we get to go behind the scenes at Cheltenham, which is great. We go into the weighing room, meet really famous jockeys, famous TV presenters, and I think I enjoy it more than the kids do. And then I'll be there on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then after that it's the national, and then suddenly, before we know it, we're into the flat season and we get the classics, and Derby Day is always amazing. And for anyone who's never been racing, just go. It's just such an amazing day, and you can always find something to enjoy about it. You don't have to have a bet on a horse just to watch these magnificent thoroughbreds, who are obviously, as we all know, extremely versatile in other uses too, and they're the stars of the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, you wouldn't be in the right job if you weren't more excited than everyone else about it. I think the fact that you say that you're more excited about the kids, I think that definitely shows you're definitely in the right role. Otherwise it'd be a bit questionable. Oh, she doesn't look too excited about her job. No, she does. She's very excited about it. So what's one piece of advice to anyone thinking about going into this sort of career?
I think you just need to reach out. There are quite a few insurance brokers and agents around the country, and you just need to be brave and send messages on LinkedIn, send people emails. I always make time. I probably talk to about 20 to 30 young people a year about what the industry is, how to get into it. I try and help them decide which part of the industry, because the underwriting side is the people who actually take the risk. I'm the middleman, I sell it. And then the local agents who just work in the UK, unlike what we do, which is internationally. So I think you just need to, if you're interested in it, reach out to companies, reach out to me. I'm always happy to point you in the right direction. But it's been a great career, and the insurance industry is very tight knit. So, everyone's trying to help one another in it, because it's just provided all of us with such a great fun time.
Well, that is a great piece of advice, because I think a lot of people are too scared to put themselves out there and go and talk to everyone. And I think actually that is what a lot of us need to do, is one conversation with someone, and actually it will get the ball rolling in a load of other places.
Absolutely.
And just looking at our chat, we do have a couple of questions. So the first question is there anything you wish you could have told yourself when you were still in school about your career now?
I would have said, don't worry about it. I think when we're at school, there's so much pressure on us all to have the perfect job. And when I was about 10 years old, we had a careers teacher, and she said, what do you want to be when you're older? And I said, happy. And I've kind of lived by that, so don't worry, you will all find a job that you enjoy. It just might take a bit of time, and the path doesn't have to be linear. I was lucky. It was the first job I did, and here I am still doing it. But I know lots of people who've tried various other jobs and then ended up in insurance. They've worked with horses for years. They've worked in racing yards, assistant trainers, all sorts. And then they've gone, actually, I don't think this is the career for me. I'd quite like to do something where I use my brain and earn a little bit more money. So path's not linear, and just find something that you enjoy doing.
I like that. And because I feel like we all put too much pressure on ourselves to try and get somewhere that actually, if we just backed off of ourselves, we would definitely be a lot happier. We've got another question. Are there any specific qualifications that you think would help in this sort of sector?
So there are a lot of the colleges like Cirencester. So my daughter went to Cirencester. She did a Bloodstock degree, and there's the National Stud course, which Abby will talk about. I think, you know, it's quite good to have quite good hands-on knowledge of the thoroughbred industry before you try and get into thoroughbred insurance. You could do equine insurance without it, but certainly some of the agricultural colleges have very relevant between 1 year and 3 year courses, and they're great fun, and you do meet a lot of like-minded people and gain a lot of friends. And often they'll take you and show you a different side of the racing industry too. You go on stud visits and those kind of things. So if you want to do qualifications, I'd specifically look at those equine degrees that have business attached to them.
Well, yeah, I think that definitely makes sense, because there are a lot of people that go out there and go, oh, well, I could do this, I could do that. But actually, if you go for a specific thing, if you know what you want to go into, then then picking a course you can do. And as you say, quite a lot of those agricultural colleges and universities have some form of course or degree that you can go into that will help.
And then there is the BHA, the British Horse Racing Authority, have a grad scheme as well, which is, you know, it's not a proper grad scheme, but it's a kind of a short course in Newmarket, and then they'll put you into a work placement. So, and that's much more office based. So if you don't want to be physically hands-on working with horses, those are the kind of opportunities that exist in racing. So, you know, I do know quite a few people who've done that BHA grad scheme before they've come into insurance as well.
Great. So we've got one last question, and then we will have to cut our bit, because otherwise we could probably talk for the whole
hours.
evening.
Yes, sorry.
We could talk for hours. But it's great, because it's so nice to have someone with so much enthusiasm from their job, because it shows everyone else how much enjoyment you get from your job. So our last question is, are there any aspects to your role that people may find surprising, and whether that be good or bad?
I'm not sure about surprising. I mean, I think one of the things that probably would surprise you is that the value of some of the horses that we insure. And you know, I think the highest valued horse that we insure at the moment is about $40 million. And it's extraordinary to think that a single horse could be worth that much, and then that you could insure it. But a stallion like Frankel will earn £50 million a year as a stallion. So it's numbers that you just, you know, are a little bit mind-blowing. But that's why the thoroughbred industry is so rich, because there are all sorts of different aspects to it. And as I said, every day is a school day for me. I learn something new, so you never get bored.
Well, thank you. I've definitely learned a lot from your job role from this evening. I knew a brief bit about it beforehand, but thank you so much for giving us a small insight into what you do and how to sort of get to that point.
No, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Sophie and Charlotte. That was fab. I did not know how much you could not know about something you didn't know about. So that's great. So we will now, I'll now pass on over to Tatiana, who will introduce our next guests from the British Racing School.
Is my sound working now? I hope so. I now have the absolute pleasure to introduce Jackie Gill from the British Racing School, who has prepared a really fantastic presentation for you all, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy. And then I think we'll also be hearing from Lily May, who is a previous student of the British Racing School, so you'll get to hear some great first-hand experience about what the journey might be like.
Jackie and Lily May, if you're able to click the next to your name, the icon of the camera and the microphone, and then we've got your presentation up and ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, May's there. Perfect. Oh, and Jackie's there. Perfect. When you're ready, we're good for you to start.
Okay, do you want me to start?
Yeah, off you go.
Okay, I was going to say, are you going to play the slide or while we talk, or?
Yeah, I'll move to the second one. There we go.
Okay, so anyway, my name is Jackie Gill and I work for the British Racing School. I've worked there for over 15 years. I started when I was young. I had ponies. They weren't the best ponies, but they were the world to me. Really enjoyed, always loved ponies, horses. At the age of 15, I left school. I wasn't very academic. I went to British Racing School. That was actually at Goodwood at the time. I went down there. I did a 6-week course there, and then got placed into a racing yard. And so, kind of 20 years, I worked in racing. I did everything in the job. I did ended up being the travelling head girl for one of the trainers. Then I had my children, so that cut that short, well, not very short really. And then I was lucky enough to get invited to go to the racing school to do some work there. And then from then on, I've been working at the racing school for the last kind of 15 years. My role at the racing school is I teach, I instruct flexible learning program, which is where Lily May comes in. I also do the pony racing. So the pony racing camps, training days that we hold, I do those. And yeah, everything to do with the younger sort of students that come in. So at the racing school, we're primarily to get young people involved with racing, especially through the pony racing, to get them involved into racing, get them onto one of our courses, our foundation courses, where they're for 16 to 25-year-olds. They come in, we've got 6-week courses, 12-week courses, or 18-week courses for the absolute beginners. During the day, I think you'll see through there, we guarantee them a job at the end of the programme. They will work towards their level 1 in racehorse care, and then they will go into the workplace, where we still have workplace instructors that will come and see them over an 18-month period, just to make sure they're all right, and then so they'll work towards their level 2. I was going to say, do you want to go to the next ones? So this is one of the simulators we have at the racing school. We've got a room that's dedicated with, we've got 2 electric simulators in there. They're a real good tool to teach people how to ride. They don't have to worry about actually riding the horse at the same time, so they're brilliant. So to apply for the course, I think you can see it on the slide there, age between 16 to 25 in the UK, maximum weight's 11 stone, because obviously all our horses are race horses, so they're slightly built, some obviously bigger than the others, but we have to have a weight limit for that reason. Jump to the next one, sorry. So yeah, so if you wanted to get into racing, get involved with racing, the best thing is to come have an interview day. We'll have a fitness test. You'll have an instructor that comes, does your fitness test with you. You'll have an English and maths diagnostics, see where you are. So if you haven't done well in your exams, we can also do your functional skills whilst you're on the courses. You'll have a tour of the BRS, and then we'll have an interview with you afterwards, just basically to see which course you would be better suited for. Okay. So if you're accepted on the course, obviously that's good. If you're not accepted, depends if your fitness, if you feel your fitness, they'll ask you to go away, improve your fitness, and then come back. I mean, we accept people who have never sat on a horse, never stroked a horse, never been near a horse. We have those, and then we have the other students that have pony raced, so they would do a short 6-week course, as opposed to the non-riders that would do an 18-week course. So this is how much it costs for the course. The flexible learning program that we do run, that is free. We're very, very lucky. We've got supporters and sponsors that pay for the students to come on that. But you see there, it's £950, it's £100 refundable bond. That's for all the courses. So during the day, I think that's the next slide. This would be the day during the course. So you'd be expected to muck out, do the yard work in the morning, have breakfast, and then ride 2 lots in the morning before lunch. They'd always have a lecture in the afternoon, and then 3 o'clock, evening stables. They groom the horses, clean the stables, and then either fitness or cooking or something in the evening session. And then they're really, really ready for bed at 9 o'clock. So that's kind of their day of how that will run. So yeah, that's the functional skills. So the students that have got their maths and English qualifications, they would do electives. So that could be anything like car maintenance, sewing, DIY, anything like that. Anything that would be sort of skills for them going forward into life, really. Okay. So yeah, there's a couple of pictures of them. So that's the accommodation at the top left, or the top in the middle. They've got a common room that they can sit in, then they have a dining room. They have all 3 meals provided for, and then they will teach them to cook as well, because obviously some of them haven't got a clue. So it's really good for them to learn these life skills. So yeah, they work 3 times between 12 and 3, or if they've got a session in the afternoon, they would start that at 2 o'clock. So yeah, they'd have kind of every other weekend, they would have half a day of that during that week's course. So work experience, we tend to send the students out for work experience the last 2 weeks of their courses. They'll get to spend time with a racehorse trainer. It gives them a little bit more of, this is how it's going to be. Is this the course for you? Is this what you want to do? They will live, we have a bungalow just on site, but it's still, they will live independently there. But they'll still have the support of the racing school whilst they're still finding their feet in the yards. Okay, I'll do a little bit more talking. So as well as the foundation courses that we do run, say we have a flexible learning program that we have. We also run other courses for jockeys. So the jockeys that want to go on to get their conditional or their apprentice license, they have to be on a level 2 program, which is once they've left the racing school, having got their level 1, they would go into the workplace to work towards the level 2. We would have workplace instructors that would come and see them in the yard and guide them through towards the level 2 to earn that. We also do the point-to-point licenses for the riders who want to do the point-to-points. As I mentioned, we do the pony racing. We also have a transition into racing. These are for sort of some of the colleges that the equine colleges around that want to come for a week's to learn how to ride with shorter stirrups than what we do really when we're looking after the race horses. We also run a DAV residential course that's just started last year. We have the Riding a Dream course, which is for inner city students that come. They can come on a residential, they can get a scholarship, or we have tasting days for those guys to come in and see if they'd like to do that. We have transport exams, we have racehorse trainers courses, assistant trainers, stable management courses, racing secretaries. So anything to do with racing, we have a course for it.
That's really incredible. I think we have a couple of questions, so perhaps we
okay.
could, Lily May, if you're happy.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience prior to joining the British Racing School with horses, and how did it help? What was your experience of it in general?
Yeah, so I'm Lily, and basically, so I've been in the pony club for about 11 years. I left when I was 16, and then so as I was going into like GCSEs and educating for GCSEs, I then found out about the foundation learning program, and basically the course is over 2 years, and I went to the foundation learning program once a week during my GCSEs. So I went every Tuesday, and that was, ever since I was young, I've always wanted to be in racing. That was my dream. And I've always wanted to be a jockey. And then, so I found the course and I started it, absolutely loved it. It's like one of the best courses I've ever done. And that's what made me grow further into racing. But I was working during the foundation learning program. I was working on my weekends at a racing yard. And then once I left the foundation, the FLP, and completed my GCSEs, I then went on to full-time in racing because I wasn't academic whatsoever. And I just kept growing. I still ride out every day, every morning, 6 days a week. And I then went back to the racing school, completed my level 2 equine groom apprenticeship, which you do in the workplace. So you kind of do like written work, but then your workplace instructor, which you'll be allocated, will come into your workplace and you'll do some videos which go towards your written work. And that's and you also, with that, you complete your level 3 transporting horses. And then I've also gone on to do an amateur license course in November 2023. I completed at the British Racing School, and I've had 2 races so far.
Wow, that's really incredible. Just to reiterate, Jackie, can you join if you have only done your GCSEs?
Sorry?
Could you join the British Racing School having only done your GCSEs, like not having
You can join without doing your GCSEs.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
we
great.
do function. Sorry?
Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. You can join if you haven't gained your GCSEs. We can do functional skills with you when you come on the courses at the racing school.
And Lily, can I ask, how was your transition sort of into the workplace following having been in the British Racing School? Did you feel like it was...
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was a bit like nervous because it was new to me, but kind of being in the racing school, you learn. It's not exactly the same as being in a workplace because you've got a whole different team in a workplace compared to the BRS. But you do get most of the aspects from the BRS. They do prepare you to be in a workplace, and you do feel ready and raring to go into a workplace. And like most trainers as well, a new person coming into a workplace from the BRS, they will help you, and even your team, they'll help you along. There'll always be everyone to help you out and guide you the way, basically.
Yeah, that's lovely. So, Jackie, how would this compare to university? And if you are a more academic person that still wants to get into racing, would you recommend going to university before you went to the British Racing School?
You could do. It would depend what you wanted to do, because they're aimed at sort of 16 to 25-year-olds are the courses. You could go into the racing school after you've been to university, yes, if that's what you wanted to do. If you wanted to have that insight into racing, and if it was something that you wish to join, absolutely.
Great. And Jacob has also asked, given that he's done a few seasons on ponies, he'd like to get to a racing yard. Would you recommend just sort of applying for roles to ride out in the morning? He's 14, I think he's commented. So, or would you recommend going somewhere like the British Racing School first?
So I think Lily May, I think didn't you ride out in a yard before? Well, whilst you were on the course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would always depend on the trainer. Some trainers want the young people to be 16. Some are happy for them to ride out at 14. It would depend on insurance, whether they've got their own insurance or whether the trainer was willing to take the insurance out for them. That would be the main thing, and it would be up to the individual trainer, really.
Great. Okay. If either of you have anything else you'd like to add, that would be great. Otherwise, I think we could move on to the next speaker.
Lily?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you so
very much.
That's great. I just have one final question before we move on, and it's what piece of advice would you give to any of our members who are considering coming into the British Racing School, or Jackie, something that you wish you'd known before you started?
I think coming into the racing school, you've got to work hard. You've got to try. Quite a few people give up quite easily. I just think you've got to really push yourself to be the best that you can be, rather than if it gets a little bit tough, a little bit harder, it's a bit cold, you've got to push through that. You can't, I think that makes you a stronger person rather than kind of, oh, it's a bit cold, I don't fancy that today. I just think that would make, it'll give you strengths in places where you didn't think you would be strong enough.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, thank you so much for both spending your evening with us tonight and sharing all of the information about the British Racing School. Remember that everyone, that this link is recorded, and that PowerPoint you will be able to see back to see where to get more information on the British Racing School if it's something you're considering as a career. I'm now going to pass over to Ethan and Evie, who will introduce our last but not least presenters, Abby and Georgina. I'm hoping Ethan's technology is all sorted. Oh, he's there.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Perfect.
Evie, I think your microphone.
Evie, your mic's off.
Is that working now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, we've now got Abby talking to you alongside Georgina to talk about the National Stud, which is a livestock breeding company, and they specialise in breeding racehorses. So would you like to begin with your job titles?
Yeah. So do you want me to go through my PowerPoint, or do you want me to just talk? I can do it.
That would be great if you could go through your PowerPoint, I think.
I think the BRS is up at the minute. Hold on. Just wait till it comes up. I can talk if it makes it easier.
Do you want to start with introducing your job title?
Yeah, let's do that. So hi, my name's Abby Taylor and I'm the Education Manager at the National Stud. And I'm on with Georgie Morgan, who is a graduate from our Level 3 programme. The National Stud is a commercial stud farm in Newmarket. So we breed thoroughbred racehorses for the industry with a plan that they are going to make the races. And we stand multiple stallions here. We foal down mares, so we have about 300 to 400 mares coming through in a season. And then also we prepare young horses, mares and foals for the sales. So yearlings, mares and foals, prepare them for the sales. The racing industry is brilliant. It has multiple opportunities, and it doesn't always have to be a riding pathway you have to follow. So on the stud here, none of our students ride. We start courses from the age of 16 to 18 and offer apprenticeships teaching people how to foal mares, work with stallions in the covering shed, and then we also run courses where they are living on site for a set period of time, also learning how to foal mares by themselves, put the stallions up on mares. They're learning how to prepare horses for the sales. So it's a really exciting offer that we have here at the National Stud. With regards to my career, I was a pony club member of the Langina, so we're the Area 10 pony club for about 15 years. I always wanted to ride, but I didn't know what opportunities there were for me. I didn't have very expensive horses and quite quickly realized that I couldn't really be as competitive as I wanted to be or be the riders I saw on TV jumping around the Olympics. So actually, when I did my A-levels, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, I did biology, chemistry, physics and English with the aim to potentially do veterinary. I spent all my time riding and I did awful in my A-levels. I then decided to go to university to Hartbury and I did an undergrad in equine science and I did a master's in equine science because I decided I wanted to lecture. So I wanted to teach people all about the theoretical side of looking after horses. And actually, during my time there, I learned how to ride racehorses. I was riding out alongside my job and I was a professional test pilot. So I break the yearlings in before they go to the trainers. What I realized is I might not have been able to go and compete around 5-star events, but I could definitely use my skills to sit on a really naughty horse to my advantage to earn pretty good money. And from then I really got the opportunity I fell into racing, to be honest. From then I went to be assistant head lass for Tim Vaughan down in South Wales. So I worked for him for 2 years. So we learned how to ride racehorses at school over fences. I took a horse to the Grand National, my own, and then I was given him when he retired. So Golan Way, I was really lucky. But that's when I really learned to ride racehorses. I still had the eventing bug. I did tetrathlon and eventing at Pony Club. And then I went to ride for a year as a young sports horse producer for a sports horse company. So we did all sorts of things like county level showing, BE, whatever, the BSJ, whatever the owners wanted. But I really missed racing and also the money wasn't very good. So I went back to working at a stud as, again, a professional test pilot riding yearlings. And I learned how to foal mares and I learned how to prepare stock for the sales. And what I could earn in a day at the sales, I would be earning half of that in a week riding event horses. So I actually really realized I can earn a lot of money doing actually something really great with these horses that are going to go on and earn loads of money themselves. So I then decided I wanted to teach that element about that side of the industry. It was something I didn't get into until I was quite late. I didn't do pony racing or anything like that. And then I started lecturing. And I taught on a racing academy. And then I got offered the job at the National Stud, where I look after all the students on the breeding program, probably about 3 years ago now. And I've been here and I love my job. It's a fantastic job. And I end up with brilliant students like Georgie. And I am able to send them, because the industry is global, right? It's not just here in the UK. I was really lucky when I started lecturing. I got a job for a chap called Malcolm Bastard, and he sent me to Hong Kong. So I went and rode in Hong Kong. There's racing in France. There's racing in Australia, America, New Zealand. Georgie's currently in New Zealand. and I sent her to Australia to foal down mare. She'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But it's a fantastic job, and it lets me show the next generation what there is in the sport. So whether they want to be an assistant trainer, whether they want to go and ride for a living, whether they want to go and learn to foal mares and do that through the season in a different part of the world, I can enable that to happen if they've got the right attitude and they really want it. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I am now and what I did to do that. But I wasn't specifically academic, and I spent a lot of my time riding, sometimes riding instead of being in school, which is really naughty. But it's really kind of riding lots of different horses has really helped me to get to where I am today. So yeah, hopefully that'll give you an overview of what I've done and my job. And here's my presentation. So yeah, pretty much sums up what I've done. And I've included some pictures of us riding the breed up horses. And this is Hong Kong. You ride on the track in Sha Tin among like skyscrapers. I didn't go to the racing school. I didn't actually know there was a route into racing for someone that had never ridden race horses before. I didn't know when I was younger the National Stud existed. From South Wales, there wasn't many job opportunities working with horses. And I was really lucky. I got a job at Tim Vaughan's. We got Evan Williams and we got Rebecca Curtis and the Bowens, but you're quite limited still in comparison to moving to England. But if I knew what I knew now about the industry at 16, I would have definitely gone down this route rather than going to university. But yeah, so it was a great opportunity. And like I said, the National Stud, we have stallions, we board mares here. We teach people how to look after these animals, but also we have our own business alongside. So we prepare horses for the sales, and we look after race horses that are having a rest from racing as well. I said I really loved my job because I get to inspire the next generation to go and do amazing things in the industry. So if we pop to the next slide, if possible, we try to breed champion racehorses, and these are all my students. So this is Georgie in the center with her first foal, and these students have foaled every single one of these horses. They walk away at the end of a 6-month course having foaled potentially up to 15 foals, and a lot of them they'll do by the end by themselves. Georgie will tell you a little bit about what she did on the course in a minute, but we start, like I said, courses at the age of 16 upwards, and it's a great opportunity for young people to access the industry potentially that don't want to ride in races or ride race horses. So if we pop to the next slide, would you talk about some of the careers that you can have in the industry? So it's not just foaling mares. Part of the industry is flying horses across the world. So we shuttle stallions across the world. We used to have time tests. He went down to New Zealand. There's horses that shuttle between Australia, like Zoostar from Tween Hills will go to Widden in Australia. You can run a stud, be a stud manager. You can freelance at the sales. The going rate for the sales is about £300 a day, which is brilliant pay if you think what that would equate to over a couple of weeks. People looking after the gallops, you can buy and sell horses for a living, sort of stock agent. You can run a race course. You can handle stallions. We have 2 veterinary hospitals in Newmarket, and they hire people to look after basically sick nurse the foals back to health. We have a graduate in our office her job is basically advertising our stallions, what we do here at the stud, but she spends a lot of time making TikToks and for social media. There's a big requirement for people to do that now. Yeah, so that it's kind of, and you can pre-train and break horses. There's so many things you can do with the knowledge and also the practical skills behind you. So if we go to the next slide, I will let Georgie do a bit of talking now.
Hello. As Abby said, I'm Georgina. I was part of the East Sussex Pony Club from a very young age. Always been into my horses. Like Abby, I did tetrathlon and eventing. Not as brave as other eventers, so I knew that wouldn't be my future. I wouldn't be a future eventer. We'd actually started breeding some hopefully future eventers at home, so I already had a slight insight to the breeding side of things. I had just finished my A-levels. So I did business, geography and photography just because I had to do something. And then didn't really want to go to university, didn't know what to do. So I actually found out about the National Stud through Pony Club. Went on the open day they did, decided that's where I wanted to go, that's what I wanted to do next. Didn't really know if I would stay in the industry, just thought actually it would be a good next step for me to get more experience in the foaling side of things. So started the national straight in the deep end with the yearlings, went to the yearling sales, had a great week there. I was lucky enough to also do the horses in training sales with Castlebridge. Then we moved on to our mare and foal prep, which, yeah, I do like prep. That's a nice side of it. The foals are so nice to just work with. Seeing them at the start to then actually taking them around the ring is just very nice. It's a sense of achievement for everyone to see them go around. So did that. We also were very fortunate enough, Abby took us to Ireland, which was a very fun day out. Very long day, but a very fun day. So great opportunities we got. Came back after Christmas, straight into the breeding season, foaling down mares. Obviously had done it before, but didn't know how the national wanted it done. Learned a lot new things about how I wanted to actually foal my own mares back at home. Different things I wanted to take with me from that and use as well. Lucky enough to go into the stallion shed, do some work with stallions, which I never thought would be possible for me. Never really expected it, but was lucky enough to get the opportunity to do quite a bit in there. Then looking on to my next steps, I always wanted to go to Australia. It had always been a dream for me. Was either going to go through farming or through horses. And Abby was like, yeah, go for it. So I decided to apply for Widden Stud, which, like Abby mentioned, Zeus Star stands there. An amazing place. So went traveling for 2 weeks before in New Zealand with a girl I actually met on the course, Maddie. We went to Australia together, did it all together, which is very nice. Didn't have to do it alone, which definitely took some pressure off it. So went to Australia, started working for Widden, and completely different. Like, obviously horses are the main focus for sure, but foaling outside, doing all that, it's a completely different world over here, but it is amazing. I was very fortunate enough that I was put on to the foaling side of it all. So I was dealing with the mares and foals, but again, handle mares and foals completely different to even how the national did it, how I did it back at home, like completely different. Learned some amazing new stuff. I was very fortunate that I was trusted to run the general barn on my weekends working, which is basically our equivalent to like the hospital barn. So there was anything in there from horses that were just lame, foals that needed some box rest, foals that needed medication, anything was in there. And I lucky enough got the opportunity to run that on my own on the weekends working, which was so nice to get the opportunity to be trusted to do it, even though I'd only been there, I think, maybe 2-3 weeks before I'd started, and they said, oh, we're going to let you run this area on your own, just because they saw I could do it and wanted to give me that opportunity. It was amazing. Definitely grew my confidence so much more. And I got to do a lot of things that I never thought would be possible for me again. So yeah, left there, now in New Zealand doing farming, but just kind of a stepping stone really. And then we'll be going back home. I've actually bought a few horses since being away. So I've moved away from the sport horses and into the thoroughbred industry properly. I've bought 2 mares, one in foal to time test, who stands at the national, and one I will be putting in foal, who we're not quite sure yet, but that would be exciting for the future. And then hopefully potentially go work in another stud again alongside doing my own mares. So yeah, that's kind of
really interesting, and it's so nice to see how much variety there is in the roles. We've got a question in the chat that says, are there many women in racing? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's definitely more than you think, and there's many more doing roles that they never used to do. So we have in Newmarket, we have a lot of trainers that are women. We have assistant trainers that are women. We have a lot of work riders that are women. In the breeding side of the industry, we have our stud manager as a woman, our CEO is a woman, and also the language is changing. So where you used to hear the term stallion man, that's changed now to a stallion handler. Our stud manager, Lisa, is in that stallion shed, putting the stallions up, which used to be quite a male-dominated role. But that's completely changed now. And she's brilliant at showing everyone that everyone can have an opportunity in the covering shed or working with yearlings or, foaling, it doesn't matter. So there are quite a lot of women that work in racing, probably more than you think. And people like the likes of Holly Doyle and also people like Lisa, who's our stud manager, really paved the way for people like women to be encouraged into the sport as well.
That's so interesting. It's so nice to know that it's so open and that anyone can get involved. Another question in the chat is, did you complete any of the Pony Club progression tests, and did they help you in your career?
So for me, I did like my AH at the time. I definitely think it helped having that understanding behind what you're doing every day and why you do things. And in terms of the standard of riding required, was really beneficial. Georgie?
I did up to my B test care. Wasn't very good at the tests, but I did them. But no, again, definitely helped. Just giving you that general knowledge, really, and just helping you in the industry and giving you that start to what you need, really.
Abby, I've got a question for you. Do you remember any of the foals from any of the successful horses now as foals, and which ones are they, if you remember any?
So we've had quite a lot going through here. So we've had a foal that went on to win a great race called the Riddler. We've had other successful horses that there's so many. We're lucky enough to see. I was lucky enough to be able to ride some of the mares that are foaling now when they're in pre-training, and a lot of those have gone and won on group races. So we have a fair few. We have to be careful with regards to sharing certain information on horses, especially when it comes to race horses. But the Riddler's probably a really good one and a really good example of how well they're looked after here, because they were probably foaled down by a student under supervision of a supervisor, and they've gone on to win an amazing race. So we've had a fair few good ones. Georgia, is there anyone that stick out to you?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like you don't realise. I wasn't really part of the racing industry, so I wouldn't know all the names like some of the boys on the course did. But you don't realise some of the horses you work with. And in Australia, someone would randomly be like, oh, this horse has done this. And you're like, oh, I didn't even realise that. I feel like a lot of the horses are so talented and you don't even realise, because they're just a horse that you need to look after. And no matter what they are, what they've done, you give them the same attention as you would something that's not won anything. So, but there's definitely been some very impressive horses go through places, definitely.
We've got another question in the chat. Do you get support traveling abroad for this job?
So when Georgie got so for Georgie, her visa was supported. They got their visas and their flights, but a lot of Australian places will offer the flights and the visas included in the role, or pay you for your flights when you land to make sure you come into the country. Which for you, Georgie, you paid for your flights and your visa, didn't you? We helped you get your visa. But then when they're over there, they get a full wage, which was a good wage, accommodation all included. You got a car, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, so we got car, accommodation, and full wage. And the only reason we didn't get flights and stuff is because we weren't committing to 2 years. but the stud manager did say if we wanted to come back next year, we would get all of that paid for. It was just, I think they can't pay for everyone's that's going to come over. But they definitely do support you and help you to get there.
That's so nice to know that you can get support and you can do it without a background full of money. Just to clarify, where would you find information on how to get involved, and what qualifications might you need, such as GCSEs, A-levels, etc.?
We have bar our apprenticeship, which actually you don't have to get GCSEs for, but it means that you have to work similar to BRS on your functional skills. You don't need any prior academic qualifications to do any of our residential courses once you turn 18. So you can come with no GCSEs, or you can come with all of your GCSEs. It doesn't actually matter to get on a residential course here at the National Stud. To do, like I said, to do the apprenticeship, you do need your maths and English. And if you don't get one of those, you can do functional skills with support through. We go through a MyESCO college who offer one-to-one tutoring online for apprentices. So with regards to qualifications, course experience and that practical experience is far more important for us.
Abby, we've got a question in the chat. Can you get work experience before you're 18?
You can on studs, but they similar to when you're working in any equine environment. It depends on the employer. We do offer some work experience here, definitely, and it's just a conversation through an email. So if you are interested, you just have to drop us an email, and also you have to get in and out to us because we do start quite early, like racing yards do. We start at 7:20. So you definitely can do. We have had 16-year-olds come and do work experience with us before. So if you'd like to, you just have to drop us an email.
And would you say the work experience is beneficial to helping you get on the courses you want to get onto? Or
Absolutely. Yeah. Practical experience can never be, it's so important because frankly, especially if you want to go and if you've got kind of a career path in mind, before you even do the course, it's good to have the skills to say that you can go and you are capable and you are kind of working towards something. So yeah, the practical experience is really, really important before a course. And if you do that through work experience or have your own horse or whatever the circumstances are that you get that, it is really vital.
Do you reckon being in the pony club, would that help you get in your work experience?
I definitely would think so, because you need to be relatively competent to come. We're a working stud. So if you can't handle a horse generally or know how to put a head collar on, it means you're going to have complete one-to-one supervision and teaching. And that's quite tricky sometimes. We're in the busy breeding season now until probably May. We're really, really busy. So actually having those skills behind you are really beneficial. So the pony club definitely does help with that.
Okay. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We're very grateful to have heard from you and your experiences. So thank you.
No problem.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very much.
Yeah, thank you, Abby and Georgina, and thanks to Ethan and Evie for just directing those questions at the end of that. That does bring our racing careers webinar to a close. I just want to say a massive thanks to all of our guest speakers this evening, Sophie, Jackie, Lily May, Abby and Georgina, and also to our sub-Youth Advisory Council team who have helped make this happen. So Charlotte, Tatiana, Evie and Ethan, and also to Addy and Bronte who are in the office behind the scenes helping us get this up and running. Remember, this is and has been recorded, so if you do need to watch back and just take any more notes or work out who to get in touch with and how to get more involved, then you can do that once this link is uploaded. Hopefully tonight has been really helpful for anyone who is wanting to get involved in the racing industry, and more information can be found out on all of those careers' websites online. So once again, thank you very much to everyone. Apologies for the technical difficulties we had. Love technology. And hopefully we'll see you again next month for our more general careers in equine industries, things such as physiotherapy and what you would class as your more normal ones when you think of equestrian careers. But for now, we're going to log off, and thanks again to everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye.